It's the day before International Women's Day. Unfortunately, women in Nigeria do not seem very pleased by latest developments regarding Senator Natasha Akpoti. We're delving into this in our wake-up conversations and much later when we share our top stories. A very good morning. I am Olive MOD.
I'm Gbenga and Olive. Welcome to Breakfast Central this Friday, the one-stop shop for everything you need to start your day, from insightful conversations to news and analysis. Sit back, relax. We have a lot in store for you today, this Friday. So many things, like Olive said, happening in the country. I would like to start with what many have described as a dark Thursday. Men of the Nigerian Air Force yesterday invaded the premises of Ikeja Electric. They assaulted staff, damaged a few things, even arrested one or two people, and it caused a lot of panic. We saw videos of staff of Ikeja Electric running for dear life. Let's take a look at that video and then we'll come back.
Small video. Am I getting them?
Lock that gate! Lock the gate!
Open it for them.
Yeah.
An embarrassment, really, on several fronts. Now, the stories that are being told is that the Air Force men, I mean, we've seen different takes on this. Those who are in support of what the Air Force men have done have argued that the Air Force barracks have explosives in them and that these explosives are liable to explode and cause further damage if they do not have consistent electricity. However, you know, the people in support of Ikeja Electric have said that Ikeja Electric needs funds to run, and that the funds that the Air Force are owing is running into billions. So do we then use one wrong to solve another wrong is the conversation. But let's take a look at this video.
Proud to this day, we've had engagement with the Sam Etnan Air Force Base, Ikeja, an arm of the Nigerian Air Force, over issues relating to electricity supply and accumulated bills. Solutions were proposed as a way forward based on what they can afford because of their budgetary constraints as well. However, when those solutions, which also went with investment from our own part, were put in place, we discovered that we were denied access to check on those facilities so that other things can happen inside. And those installations were removed. We called their attention to it, had discussions at some point to the level of an Air Vice Marshal who oversees that base generally, and he intervened, and we reached another set of agreement. We implemented our own part as IE, but again, that equipment was disconnected again. When we tried to access the facility, the authorities of the Air Force will not allow us to do that. And so we're forced to make a disconnection of the facility.
They said we should go and pick up our driver's key, the car. So when we pick up the car, it was beaten and they took our phone. Up to now, I've not seen my phone. Up to now. So when they took us there, they said we should lie down on the field with our head on our knees.
I mean, the stories are very heartbreaking and it's embarrassing. You know, in Nigeria, we don't conscript people into the armed forces. It's a voluntary force. So if you've decided to join any one of the armed forces branches, it doesn't make you better than any other Nigerian. It's a voluntary force. So it's your chosen profession. We're all equal before the law, and it's very sad. And we've seen this time and again. where, you know, uniformed personnel think they're superior to civilians. I think it's as a result of a hangover of many years of military rule, and this needs to stop. But the good side, the good thing out of this, because there are many consequences and there's discussions everywhere. The only positive thing I've seen is that the men of the Nigerian Air Force at the level of an Air Vice Marshal, the Air Officer Commanding, visited. They had a joint press conference last evening with Ikeja Electric management, and they apologized for all this destruction that was caused by their men. And they said that they uphold discipline and they will investigate the matter and culprits will be dealt with. So
I think that that's a great conclusion, but that should not be the end of the matter. It shouldn't just be a promise of investigation and discipline. Let's actually see that there is a thorough investigation, that the people who carried out this dastardly act are fished out and are made to face the law, because what they've done is they've caused damage. Who is going to bear the consequences of all the properties that have been destroyed, the phones that have been broken, according to the explanation of certain witnesses? And also, to talk about the reputation, they've discredited the reputation of the armed forces. It's not a good look. It again reinforces the stereotype of how people, you know, armed men, you know, those in the, you know, Nigeria's armed forces, oftentimes want to lord their authority over civilians. And we see it every other day. We see it in the big ways, we see it in the small ways. We see it when they're in a convoy with a quote-unquote a VIP, and all of a sudden, if you, as a civilian,
just look at the video,
drives near them, they will whip out koboko and lash you and sort of kick you out of the way. Lolo, our colleague Lolo on Jasiri had her own encounter recently. So whilst they are all different bodies, some will say it's the police, it's the Navy, they are all members of the armed forces, and you should expect that members of the armed forces are held to higher standards. Their responsibility is to protect and not to destroy. If they are destroying anything, it will be the terrorists and those who are sort of in a way attempting to attack Nigeria's territorial integrity, not the civilians themselves.
Absolutely, and I believe from training they should drum it down their ears that, look, you need to respect civilians and you're not better than them. They should have courses, continuous courses and training on civil military relations to avoid this sort of things. And there are also implications. The National Union of Electricity Workers has told the workers of Ikeja Electricity Distribution Company not to resume at work because they fear being brutalized. And they said this is like, no one should be subjected to work under these conditions of brutality and everything we've seen. It's quite sad.
All right. Now, we do hope that that comes to some sort of logical conclusion. Like we mentioned, the logical conclusion will be a thorough investigation, and that the people who conducted this act will be brought to book. Away from that, the hallowed chambers have been not so hallowed in the most recent times. The First Lady, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Tinubu, was referred to as saying, or quoted to have said, that the Senate chamber is a place of honor and not controversy. But it's been stalled with a lot of controversy lately. I will come to talk about her later. But the latest update, of course, is that Senator Natasha Akpoti has been suspended for 6 months, and there are certain conditions that have been attached to her suspension. But she's been given a way out if she apologizes to the Senate. She's been suspended for bringing the Senate to disrepute and you know, public disrepute, it would seem. And Nigerians have not been taking it easy, or they've not been reacting to this in the most pleasant ways. We've seen, I mean, there have been mixed reactions, really. There are a number of people who applaud the Senate, saying that she should be disciplined, but there are a large number of others as well who think that this is bullying at its finest, and that if you find that you want to say that there's something wrong that has been done, or you think that you do not believe what Senator Natasha Akpoti has said, I think the fair thing that should have been done is to push for an investigation to be carried out. Why is the Senate afraid of an investigation? Senate, why are you running?
Exactly. It's the logical thing and the proper moral thing to do. Someone raised a grave allegation against the person of the Senate. I mean, step aside, let them investigate. And then it's almost like you're punishing the accuser for daring to even speak up in the first place. And it does send a lot of messages about the Senate and what we're doing in Nigeria. Okay, let's take a listen to what transpired yesterday.
that for the period of her suspension, she be barred from representing herself to the public locally and internationally as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Those who support prayer 7 say aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Let me thank my colleagues.
This injustice will not be sustained. The pursuit for justice.
Typically, what you hear in conversations about law would be that, one, a party must not be condemned unheard, and two, a party cannot be a judge in his own cause. These two issues have been flouted. Nemo judex in Kosaswa, audi alterem partem. Unfortunately, the principles of natural justice, as should be upheld, seem to have been desecrated, as the Senate President, who is the accused in this case, has been the one to drop the gavel on Natasha Akpoti. The Senate Ethics and Privileges Committee as well is not without blame, as you would see in the statement by Senator Maswen.
She wasn't even given a chance for a fair hearing.
No, she wasn't.
And
she wasn't
what happened to the court case, the ex parte order gotten by Senator Natasha Akpoti that prevented the Senate committee from convening and adjudicating over a matter? I mean, it means the Senate flouted the court order from what we've seen. But we'll get into these discussions proper during the course of the show when we speak.
You know what was very interesting, one of the very things, or one of the most interesting parts of this is the fact that none of these senators spoke up in support of Senator Natasha Akpoti, not the men and not the women in there. Again, regardless of what side of the divide you're on, whether you're supporting Senator Godswill Akpabio or you're supporting Senator Natasha Akpoti, the right thing to ask for is an investigation, because what an investigation will do is to reveal that she's either telling the truth or that she's lying. Either way, somebody will be vindicated, somebody will be apprehended. So an inquiry into the matter would have been the least thing to ask for, and now that there's no such inquiry.
This is not the end of it, because this looks like a miscarriage of justice.
Absolutely.
And just to add that Senator Orji Uzor-Kalu raised a motion, because the initial verdict was that she will be suspended without pay for 6 months, and also her legislative staff. But Senator Orji Uzor-Kalu did raise that motion. The Senate put it to a vote, and they concluded that, okay, the aides are not Senator Natasha Akpoti, let them get paid for the duration of 6 months.
All right, there has been an uproar on social media. Lots of people have been lending their voice to this conversation. We've seen the likes of Obi Ezekwesili, who have spoken strongly in support of Senator Natasha Akpoti, and they are all re-echoing the last words that they heard her say: the injustice will not be sustained. Well.